In this video, I'm going to break down how much an investor would need to invest in order to live off dividends, whether it generates qualified dividends or non-qualified dividends. I'll show you exactly how different tax rates affect your total returns, things to consider, and I'll also briefly touch on return of capital towards the end. Now, I will be using some of the most popular dividend ETFs as examples. To begin, qualified dividends are the most tax-efficient dividends because they are taxed as capital gains. And capital gains tax ranges from 0% and a maximum of 20%. But non-qualified dividends are taxed as regular income, so it is subject to regular federal income tax rates. It's also important to note that investments that produce non-qualified dividends tend to have much higher dividend yields compared to investments that produce qualified dividends. So now that you understand the different tax rates, here's how this video will be structured. I'm going to provide two ranges of dividend income with two particular ETFs, and within each example, I'll consider two scenarios. One where the investor's total income is only through dividends, and the other where we consider another source of income in order to see how your taxes will be impacted. And for this example, we will consider an extra income source of $30,000 a year. This is the median income for retirees in the US from things like Social Security and pension and other non-investment income sources. Also note that I will not be including state taxes as they differ from state to state. On top of that, I'll be factoring in a crucial element when calculating total tax obligations, and that is standard deduction. This is a fixed amount the IRS allows you to subtract from your total income before determining how much tax you owe. So the first ETF is SCHD, which is the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, with a dividend yield of 3.6%. The second ETF is a high-income covered call ETF, JEPQ, which is the JP Morgan Nasdaq Equity Premium Income ETF. And this ETF holds stocks within the Nasdaq 100 and sells calls against them every month. And this ETF's dividends are taxed as regular income because it is distributing the premium income that it generates from its covered call strategy. Now, I'll also briefly cover the tax treatments of a third ETF, GPIQ, which primarily distributes return of capital. So let's start with the qualified dividend ETF, SCHD. In order to achieve $70,000 in annual dividend income, considering SCHD's dividend yield of only 3.6%, before tax, you will need approximately $1.95 million invested in SCHD, and this excludes a salary. However, considering capital gains tax rates in 2025, $48,350 of the total dividends will be taxed at 0%, and the remaining $21,650 will be taxed at the 15% bracket, bringing your total income from $70,000 to around $66,750. So your effective tax rate is only 4.6%, which is amazing. However, it gets even better. One thing many investors, including myself, forget to consider in this calculation is standard deduction. Like I said, standard deduction is a set amount the IRS lets you subtract from your income before calculating how much taxes you owe. And for 2025, it's about $15,000 for single filers. So if you earn $70,000 in dividends, you're actually going to be taxed on only $55,000 of it. Out of $55,000 in dividend income, the first $48,350 will be taxed at 0%, and the remaining $6,650 will be taxed at 15%. That brings your total tax obligation to just around $1,000, resulting in an effective tax rate of only 1.4%, and that is incredibly efficient. And now, if you wanted to receive a clean $70,000 in qualified dividends after taxes, factoring in the standard deduction and the low effective tax rate, you need about an extra $1,000 in dividend income to compensate for the taxes owed. So you need to invest about $30,000 more in SCHD to offset the small tax obligation, bringing your total invested amount to approximately $1.97 million. And I'll go through the exact calculation in just a second. And now for the second scenario, considering you make $30,000 in extra income, now the total dividends you need to generate would only be $40,000. But the question is, how would your dividend income be taxed in this scenario? Whether it's qualified or non-qualified, you must combine your other income sources with your dividend income. And these other sources fill the tax bracket before your dividends. So given that you make $30,000 in income, you have already filled up majority of the 0% tax bracket. So now only $18,350 of your total dividend income is taxed at 0%, and the remaining will be taxed at 15%. Unfortunately, this is one of the biggest misunderstandings with how qualified dividends are taxed. Essentially, that 0% tax bracket almost never applies to everyday investors. So first, in order to generate $40,000 in dividends from SCHD, you would need around $1.1 million invested, and that is before tax and not including standard deduction. Considering standard deduction, your total taxable income will still be down to $55,000. But given that $30,000 in Social Security or pension income fills the 0% tax bracket first, only $18,350 is taxed at 0%. And the remaining $21,650 in dividend income is taxed at 15%. So your total tax obligation will now be $3,247. Bringing your effective tax rate all the way up to around 4.6%. So now, if you wanted a total after-tax income of $70,000, considering the two sources of income, you would have to generate, give or take, an extra $4,000 to $5,000 in dividends to compensate for that tax obligation, which translates to an extra $110,000 invested in SCHD, bringing your total to around $1.2 million invested. So given that this is the more realistic scenario for most investors, it is still a lot more reasonable to achieve $1.22 million invested as opposed to $1.97 million. Now, before we get into the next ETF, JEPQ, I want to highlight that SCHD and JEPQ, in my opinion, can make a very powerful 2 ETF combination when building a portfolio. That said, I personally like to complement this pairing with individual stocks to help boost total return potential. One of my favorite tools for this is ProPix AI. This feature builds model portfolios based on different strategies, and it is designed to outperform benchmarks. And there are many powerful portfolio options you can choose from, such as tech titans, Warren Buffett's top 15, healthcare heroes, small cap sprinters, or the S&P 500 value portfolio. Every portfolio includes a detailed breakdown of each stock's financial health, earnings, cash flow, valuation, and even timestamps of when the position was opened or closed. I'm very excited to share that Investing.com has officially extended their Cyber Monday sale, where you can get up to 55% off their plans. And if you use my link, you will get an additional 15% off on top of that, which means you can get up to 70% off. InvestingPro gives you access to a massive database of global stocks and ETFs, which is backed by deep financial data, research tools, portfolio analytics, and both technical and fundamental insights. You'll also find portfolios from top fund managers like Ray Dalio and Warren Buffett, which you can analyze or even replicate directly inside the platform. As always, past performance is not indicative of future results, and this is not financial advice. I am simply sharing one of the tools I personally use to enhance my own research. Another one of my favorite features is Warren AI, which is like their version of ChatGPT, but with access to a real financial database. So when you ask it a question, the response isn't just surface level, it is backed by actual data and analytics from their system. There's a lot to explore inside the platform, and if you'd like to check it out, you can use my link or code VictoriaMedia to get an additional 15% off, for a total savings of up to 70% off. Now, moving on to JEPQ. This ETF has a yield of 11.2%. So, in order to make $70,000 before tax, you would need to invest a little over $620,000. That is nearly 1/3 the amount needed to invest in SCHD. And that is why I feel that incorporating high-income ETFs in a portfolio, whether you're an income investor or a growth investor, can be extremely powerful. Plus, one thing to know is that high-income ETFs tend to distribute their dividends on a monthly basis, and some even on a weekly basis, which is extremely favorable for tracking income, but also for dollar-cost averaging and compounding growth. Qualified dividend ETFs usually distribute quarterly, which limits your ability to collect income and compound your earnings. Now, JEPQ's dividends are taxed as regular income. If these dividends are your only source of income, considering 2025 federal income tax brackets and taking into account the standard deduction of $15,000, just like before, your total taxable income goes from $70,000 to $55,000. And now your total tax obligation is roughly $7,000, bringing your effective tax rate to around 10%. So that brings your total income down to around $63,000 in dividends. And we simply use the tax brackets and apply the tax rates to achieve this number. Now, if you wanted to make an even $70,000 after tax, considering standard deduction, you need to generate roughly $8,000 to $9,000 more in dividend income per year to compensate for the taxes owed. Now, the exact formula is a little bit complicated, but here it is, and you can save this for future calculations. And this is considering that we do not exceed the 22% tax bracket. So you can use this for an annual dividend income less than $103,000. Essentially, we have deducted $15,000 in standard deduction, so now you're trying to achieve $55,000 in after-tax income. By solving for X and then adding that to the pre-tax dividend income from the previous tax brackets, which would be the 12% and the 10% tax bracket, you'll find the total amount of dividend income you need before tax, which is roughly $64,000. The difference between that and $55,000 is how much extra income you need to generate to achieve an even $70,000 after tax, which is around $9,000. So now, in order to achieve $79,000 in dividend income, you have to invest roughly $705,000. So we are looking at approximately an extra $100,000 invested in JEPQ. And you could use ChatGPT here, but I find that it does make a few errors when solving math problems, so these formulas are just as easy to use. Now, with the addition of $30,000 in extra income, you now only need to generate $40,000 in dividend income from JEPQ. And before tax, you need to invest approximately $357,000. So now the total tax obligation, including standard deduction and the extra income, just like before, the $30,000 fills the lower tax brackets first, which means the remaining $25,000 will fill the remaining 12% tax bracket and a portion of the 22% tax bracket, which means your total tax obligation on your dividends is around $3,650, bringing your effective tax rate down to only 5.2% and your total income down to $66,350. And again, remember that Social Security and pension income, as well as other sources of income, are taxed as well, so your total tax obligation will likely be a little bit more, but I've excluded those just for simplicity. And again, this is the more likely scenario for retirees and dividend investors out there. Now, I know these calculations may seem a little bit confusing, so if you need any clarification, just let me know in the comment section of this video. So now that you understand how taxes as well as external income sources affect your tax rates on the different types of dividend income, let's talk about return of capital. What's interesting about return of capital is that the dividend income you're receiving from a fund like SPYI or GPIQ is tax deferred until your adjusted cost basis, ACB, reaches zero. And then after that, you're only paying capital gains tax on the remaining dividend distributions. So what does this mean? Well, it's simpler than you might think. You see, the concept of return of capital is essentially returning the money that you've invested back to you as a dividend. This isn't any type of income, so you're not going to get taxed on this at all. So if you invest $100,000 in a fund like GPIQ, which has a dividend yield of 10%, every time you get a dividend distribution, it subtracts that amount from your initial investment amount. For example, if you get $10,000 in dividends in your first year, now your adjusted cost basis goes from $100,000 to $90,000. And if you make another $10,000 in the second year, your ACB goes down to $80,000. And this continues until your adjusted cost basis reaches zero. This could take 8 to 9 years, and during that time, none of those distributions are taxed, which is pretty awesome. But the key is that you have to keep track of this yourself. Now, once your ACB reaches zero, any following dividend distributions will immediately be taxed as capital gains. So remember I said that dividend income from high income covered call ETFs have much higher yields than qualified ETFs but are taxed as regular income. While in this situation, you're still getting the extreme dividend yield, but you're paying the same tax rate as qualified dividends. So it is essentially a massive tax loophole. However, there's a major catch, and I will explain that in my next video. And that is all for this one. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial, investment, tax, or legal advice. Discussions of ETFs, investing strategies, market updates, or specific funds are general, not tailored to your financial situation, and should not be relied upon for decision making. Investing involves significant risks, including total loss of principal, and past performance does not guarantee future results. I am not a registered financial advisor. My content reflects personal research and publicly available information. I may earn affiliate commissions from mentioned products or links disclosed per FTC guidelines, but these do not influence my opinions. Always consult a licensed financial professional and verify information independently. By watching this, you agree I am not liable for any losses or consequences from your actions. International viewers should consult